All right, so one of the things that I wanted to touch on was as Luna decides to walk into front. Are you coming down here? Do you need to come down here, ma'am? Say hi, Luna. As she fights, she's like, no, thank you, sir. Okay, let me start over again. So, so just to give you some context, that other little intro right there was from the previous video that got cut off because of the fact that I had to dump a bunch of my videos, and sometimes managing media on iPhone is not the most fun thing. Yes, it gets all backed up to iCloud, but then I end up spending a whole day trying to download stuff from iCloud and then going through and organizing all that stuff. It just goes to show I need a better work pipeline. So the things I covered in the video really quickly were that I have been successfully updating and creating enough content on YouTube to be almost 15 to 30 days ahead of time, somewhere in that zone. I say that because some are already scheduled and then there's a bunch of drafts in there. As far as projects and other things that are coming up, I do have new shows coming up that I'm pretty excited about. I'm waiting on a few of them to see if I've been allowed to get into the show and do the show. I know that some of them are later in the year, so I'm just waiting to find out before I say anything about them. I have noticed that one of the hardest and most difficult things has been, especially now, I'm in a coaching course, which has been interesting. I think I've spoken a little bit about it before. That takes up a decent amount of time because as things have gone on, there's a daily regime of a small mini project to do writing and journaling. That's been one thing which has pushed back some other stuff on, as far as getting things done in the rhythm that I was used to. One of the other things that really has thrown me for a loop has been the whole aspect of, when you get used to using a particular tool of some kind. Well, Google Calendar was very much that for me, and I've already been down this whole gamut. So, I appreciate it if you guys have any input. Please leave it in the comments below. But I have looked for other calendars. What got me was that if you use Google Calendar, I think in like 12 more days, it officially switches everything over. But if you use those reminders, the little green bars that you can't change the color on, you can put something on there. And then when you checklist them off, it'll tell you, hey, when you start the day, you got like 8 or 6 or whatever reminders. And then as you check them off, it just compiles them into 2 different stacks until they're all completed, and then tells you got 13 things done that day. Well, from a psychological standpoint, that helped me out a great deal, an amazing amount, because I'm able to look at it and go, at least this day I accomplished 6 things, 5 things, whatever. And if I didn't get them all done, I could delete those from that day, move on to the next day and try again. I now have to use a different app, which it's called Eden. It's fine. It's very relaxing. It's very nice, but it's not incorporated into my calendar. It causes all kinds of problems for me from an organizational standpoint. With Google Calendar, they changed all the reminders into tasks, which I think was simply an effort to push out to another app called Tasks, which you have to download to create further customization. You can't change color, but you can make sublists, which that just doesn't make sense to me and doesn't work in the wheelhouse of thought that I had for it. So that affected me more than I thought it was going to. And I don't understand why. What was it hurting? What was the problem with what existed as it was? It was fine. They had previously taken away another one that was, I believe, called Goals, and it at least had a graphic that would say, hey, I'm going to be meditating or doing a playthrough or something like that. Those graphics still sort of exist in there. If you create an event, like in my calendar, I still have an event because of time blocking that I say, hey, every Saturday is my time for me to record my video game playthroughs or certain things like that. And sometimes it will pop up when you're looking through your daily retinue, you'll see like a video game controller or that sort of thing on there. And that's freaking great. And I love that. But I just don't understand why a company as large as Google, which the origin of it was really to be the antithesis of the cold and liminal space feeling of Microsoft products, why it isn't capable of keeping these things and running with them. To what degree? You clearly have the manpower and ability if you created a whole other app and then move tasks over into that and in this one to keep it going. It just doesn't make sense. I would imagine that, it's just a guess of mine, that in those circumstances you're talking about a consumer product that probably has people at the top that while they use it, they're formatting it they're formatting it more for how they would utilize it, which is fine. But if you've already got an established running ground that people can get used to, I don't understand removing something unless it becomes vigorously problematic or people really start to request it. Then I can understand that. I don't think I know anyone that was happy to see reminders go away. The goals, I don't think as many people may have used that, so I can understand that. I don't know. But it's enough that it has thrown a lot of my day-to-day sort of things into a whole bunch of chaos. And that's okay. I mean, there's nothing else I can do about it. I'm not going to cry over spilt milk on that. There was I'm going to leave the link below for this. There was this really cool thing that I had recently come to discover. And I don't think I'm breaking any rules by sharing this because it is directly part of this mentorship, but it is something that I found really fascinating. If you want to try and understand something more about yourself, I would just suggest taking the time. It's about maybe 5-10 minutes of your time, 50 questions, and then they'll email you a result. There's no spam, there's nothing weird about it or anything else like that. I highly recommend it because I was able to figure out from it, like my top 3 problems that I have. And one of them are not necessarily problems, but aspects of my personality. And one of them, the top one, was that I'm hypervigilant. And that's easily explainable in the fact that I have a security background. I grew up in a household that, when you grow up in a household that has abusive relationships, when you grow up around people that you would consider friends sometimes that were just terrible to you, you can become that way. You get a little on edge. It was interesting to see that at the top, but then underneath that was victim, and then one more. And I was pretty shocked. Not because I'm not saying that I don't play the victim card. I can certainly do that. Like, oh shit, all of 22 was bad, and I felt like I was completely ignored or whatever. Okay, sure, but there's also, what could I have done to have helped prevent that? Did I just skate by? Did I not do as hard of an effort to try and succeed? And it seems like anytime something as small as Google Calendar, removing something and change coming into my life, that there's a lot of other places in my life not connected that have different aspects of change, evolution, replacement, and just absence that begin to formulate a different side of me coming forward. Some of it is me getting older, some of it is time passing, but the thing that I take from it the most is, for the first time in a very long time, if ever really, I'm able to isolate aspects of myself, and I understand that I have the ability to change and to become more accepting about a lot of things in my life, about a lot of things around me. I am not the center of the universe. I'm not even the center of my own world, and I realized that for the first time. My interactions with other people, the experiences I have, are really a woven blanket. And that sounds very new age and bullshitty, but the truth is that really is how life is. It's just that the vast majority of myself, and the vast majority of us, including myself, really have almost redacted ourselves into a much more self-isolating sort of circumstance. We don't really want to be open to new experiences or dealing with people except on our own terms and with our own inhibiting limiters put into place, which cause us to miss out on things and possibly grow and experience far more than we think. It was very much an aspect where there's almost this trope when you get to a certain age where you start to complain about aches and pains and your mental state as far as, oh, this music sucks or this is terrible or these sort of things. But why do we allow that to happen? And I really had to ask myself, do I want that to be part of my future? And I just don't. I simply don't. So it's one of the reasons why I really redoubled my efforts, and at least for myself, I've been really active in learning new languages. I just watched a whole lesson on Adobe Premiere and color grading and lutes and all that sort of stuff that really started to help me. And where I was in a more stress-free zone, I got it. I struggled with Premiere and a lot of other programs for a long time until I have a moment when nothing else is happening. I isolate myself. I'm not multitasking. And I just live in the moment and learn the thing I'm supposed to. And it's been really helpful. Yeah. So that's where I'm at. It's hot as hell outside, guys. Anyway, so surprisingly, that's all I got for this one. I'm going to try a slightly different format now with these, and I'm going to try and to 10 to 15 minute videos. And I'm just going to tell a story or a circumstance on each one, because now I can see where more of my experiences and other stuff is going. Most of that stuff is going to end up in some of the new series I have that I've been developing on this channel. And I'm hoping that that way it kind of, you know, moves out into different areas and spreads like watercolor on a wet board, and just, you know, weaves into each other. I think that'd be an easier way to do this, and I spend less time editing these journals, which out of all the content are probably the least important to everybody else watching, but are really important to me. But I also do a lot more work in my journals. So anyway, that's a tangent you guys don't care about. Thanks for watching, guys. I am Mario the Artisan Rogue, and if you want any more information, there's a bunch of links down below. I have run a bunch of different videos on here from different kinds of things, from video gaming to art stuff, you name it. And there's a bunch of ASMR videos I'm starting to upload now. They're not the best quality. I just thought they would be fun. It's something just to play in the background or listen to or watch or whatever. Hope you guys are enjoying those things. And I will catch you guys in the next journal entry. See ya.